City Attorney, is there anything reportable from closed session?
We have no reportable action. Thank
All
you.
right, we will take a brief recess for just a moment to reset our dials and be right with you. This time I'll call our city council meeting back to order. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our regular city council meeting. The time right now is 7 p.m. and we are back on the record. This time I'd like to ask Deacon Ken Hobbs from St. Timothy's Catholic Church to come forward for our invocation. And after that, we have the privilege of having Girl Scout Troop 30 come forward to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Deacon Hobbs.
So me and electronics. Heavenly Father, we come to you today in gratitude, thankful for the opportunity to live in a community as beautiful as Laguna Niguel. As the summer begins to near its end and the school year begins, we pray that students, teachers, and administrators may be inspired, strengthened, and fortified by a desire for God's truth and knowledge in all they do. We ask for your guidance, your wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us to engage in meaningful discussion with respect for one another, allowing us to grow closer as a group and nurturing the bonds of community. Fill us with your grace, Lord God, as we make decisions that affect the lives of those living and are working in our community. And continue to remind us that all that we do here today, all that we accomplish, is for the pursuit of truth for your greater glory and for the service of humanity. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Deacon Hobbs.
Audience attention, color guard advance. Color guard, present the colors. Would the Honorable Mayor, City Council members, and audience please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The audience may be seated.
Thanks, girls. If you would, please wait there. We'll be down and say hello. Well, thanks for coming. Appreciate you all being here. Didn't they do a great job? How many of you all done this before? So we're all veterans. No wonder it went off so well. Well, thank you. Everybody's back in school now, right? So let you introduce yourself to everyone. You can tell us what school you go to, your name, and what grade you're in.
I'm Dominica. I go to Elisa Niguel High School, and I'm in 10th grade.
I'm Lee. I go to Elisa Niguel High School, and I'm in 9th grade.
I'm Anastasia. I go to Aliso Viejo Middle School, and I'm in 8th grade.
I'm Riley. I go to Elisa Niguel High School, and I'm in 10th grade.
Well, in this one room, I can say go teal then, right? Right. Well, thank you so much for coming, and we really appreciate it. Do we have any scout leaders here with us tonight? Somebody in charge? Oh, we got one. Thank you. Come on up. On behalf of Grateful City, let me give you one of our 30th anniversary challenge coins, just to say thank you for all that you do for scouting. Thank you. You can jump in the picture, too, if you want to. Mind if we take a pic? Great, thanks. Who's dismissing? Great. Thank you very much. Let's give him a hand. Thank you for that. Could I get a volunteer for a plaque? Thank you. We have, thank you. We have one presentation tonight, and I would ask if we could have Patty Mouton to come join us. We are here tonight to celebrate and to proclaim September 2019 as Alzheimer's Awareness Month. So, Patty, good to see you. Thank you as always. How are you? I'm doing well. Thank you. Thanks for being here. Patty comes each year, and each year that we declare this, and each year that they continue doing fantastic work on behalf of Alzheimer's. A couple of statistics which are just sad but fascinating is that more than 84,000 residents here in Orange County and over 5 million Americans are currently living with Alzheimer's disease, which is just tragic and terrible, which tells you how important this is to us. And it's such an honor year over year to be able to do this. This is the third leading cause of death in Orange County, if you can imagine, and the sixth leading in the nation. Each year, family caregivers provide 1,139 hours of care per individual person with Alzheimer's. I mean, just a tremendous statistic, and there are so many people working so hard. And that's why I, on behalf of the entire City Council, and indeed all 67,000 of our residents, hereby declare that September 2019 shall be World Alzheimer's Awareness Month in the city of Laguna Niguel, and we want you to keep up all your good work. So thank you very much, as always, Patty. Do you mind if we give you a proclamation and take a picture?
November 9th at Angel Stadium, and we hope you'll all come out. We'll have about 9,000 people from Orange County November 9th, so please join us if you can.
I'd love to. Thank you so much for that. And that's done. We can return to the dais. And that concludes all of our presentations. I want to turn now to public communications. Any person wishing to address the City Council will need to complete and present one of these gold-colored request to speak forms to our city clerk, who's sitting to my right. These forms are available on the counter that's located near the door of the back of council chambers. Please be aware that the time limit will be 3 minutes for each person to speak. If you have a statement you'd like to read, you can do so, but you can't transfer that time to somebody else. But you can have them read the rest of your statement if you'd like. I've got 2 requests to speak for me. Are there any others?
I have one more, but they're all 3 for City Manager item number 1. There
Okay.
are no public communication.
Okay, good. I think we'll be to that fairly quickly. I'll make sure, unless anybody nods at me to the contrary, we'll hold off on that for just a moment. Great, thank you. Do we have any requests to speak for any item that isn't city item number 1? Okay, at that point, I'll close communications at this time on that thing. We'll get back to you in just a moment. We will now move on to our consent calendar, items 1 through 7, and I'll ask and see if there's anything that my council colleagues want to pull from the consent calendar. Nothing to my right, nothing to my left. I'll entertain a motion to approve the
I second the motion.
Okay, it's moved by the Mayor Pro Tem. It's seconded by Councilmember Minigar. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? Then the consent counter unanimously passes, and apparently very happily. All right, our next item is City Manager item number 1, and that's for the approval of the work plan for something I'm very excited about, which I've been talking about now for, what are we in September, 10 months, which is the city strategic plan. On the screen in front of you, it's been dubbed Laguna Niguel 2050, the pursuit of happiness, which makes me smile on the inside when I think about all that's possible here. We will begin by our city manager, Ms. Letourneau, if you provide a staff report, please.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's my pleasure to present this report to you this evening. See if my technology works. There we go. A strategic plan sets the vision for the future. Specifically, the city's plan will establish the goals, objectives, and strategies for the community for the next 30 years. I've developed a process that will create this important plan for this community, and I want to share the steps in this work plan with you. The first activity is the one we're in now, which is the planning and the kickoff for the strategic plan itself. The next step in the process is the preparation of the environmental scan and the stakeholder analysis. The environmental scan is a collection of data related to population demographics, median housing income, for example. It shows where the city's been, is today, and is projected to be for the future. The stakeholder analysis includes gathering data from the entire community. That includes elected officials, appointed officials, commissioners, and committee members, for example. This process will include making an electronic survey available through the city's website. We will publicize the survey availability and encourage people to complete the survey through all social media platforms, press releases, and other communication tools. A flyer will be developed that includes a QR code to allow those interested to complete the survey right from their phone. Further, we will also produce hard copies of those surveys and make those available at city facilities for those who prefer not to use an electronic device to complete the survey and provide the important information. Activity 3 includes analyzing all the data that's shared and that culminating in information being shared with all of you in a one-day workshop. I will take you through a process in that workshop in which we'll develop mission, vision, values, multi-year goals, strategies for each goal, and success indicators, timelines established for each one. Following the workshop, I will work with the department head team to complete an implementation action plan that will include each goal, each strategy, each key step to complete each strategy, a person responsible, identifying resources that may be needed, a timeline, and what a success looks like through a success indicator. With all this information completed, I will prepare the final strategic plan document to be presented to the City Council on November 19th. And that concludes my staff report. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Great. City Manager, thank you very much. One of the grand benefits of having our new city manager is that during the interview process, it became clear that she had experience in strategic planning, that she has facilitated strategic planning, knows strategic planning, and this is certainly a service that we probably would have had to hire outside to do, and we don't have to do that. It's happening in-house, so that means that's good value. And it's also something that not only do you get to facilitate it, but she also gets to hear the outcome and then be in charge of the implementation of that. So it is a huge win-win for the city of Laguna Niguel to have her in that seat. And I just want to say thank you publicly for your efforts thus far. I think she's been moving along quickly because I may have asked for that. So that had something to do with it. But I was very anxious to get her involved in that. And I really appreciate you jumping on it as soon as you came on. So that's good. I wanted to, we'll get to some questions and comments and things, obviously, from the council, but I do have a couple of requests to speak, so I will reopen public communications for that purpose now on City Manager item number 1. And our first speaker is Foster Johns, Gene Johns. Gene, welcome. Thank you. If you would, please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Foster Gene Johns. Please call me Gene. I live at 6 Corfu.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you. The purpose of me being here today is the strategic planning, in pursuit of happiness 2050. I'll be in my 90s, so I hope I'm around to see that.
Yeah, me too.
At the end of it. If you truly want to reach out to the residents of Laguna Niguel, their input regarding the strategic planning survey, you need to mail these surveys out. Yes, I mean snail mail. Hoping that people will simply stumble upon these won't work. You need to let people know that the surveys are out there, where to find them, and that you really want their input on this. Not every resident in Laguna Niguel attends these meetings, goes to City Hall website, or is on Nextdoor. You need a way to get the word out to these residents. They're busy with their life, raising kids, working. They don't have time to go through the process of finding this. But if you send a survey out to their home, they'll take the 5 minutes, 20 minutes to fill it out and send it back. So with that said, also being a senior of myself, there were no computers or internet when I was growing up. So a lot of the residents of this area don't rely on computers, internet to do their business. They need this to be given to them in a format that they understand. You mail it to them, they'll take the time to fill it out and get that information back to you that you want for this. So with that, I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Great, Gene. Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Nahi Bukalu. Thank you, sir. Welcome. Good evening. If you would, please state your name and address for us.
Yes, my name is Najib Bukhalil, and I'm living on 24855 Eaton Lane, Laguna Niguel.
Great, welcome. Thank you for coming.
Good, thank you so much. I just wanted to make some minor comments about the strategic plan.
The floor is yours.
Yeah. I think we all know that the strategic plan is of major importance for Laguna City since it sets the goals for the city's future and its development. And therefore, it will certainly affect the interests and rights of all the dwellers and citizens of Laguna Niguel. Therefore, I would like to suggest, although the strategic plan was prepared by professionals, and I'm sure it's very valuable, but if we could, I would suggest that the community of Laguna Niguel, if they could provide their comments or their input on a summary of such strategic plan, so that, but of course this shouldn't delay the commencement of implementation of the strategic plan. For this purpose, we should maybe fix a time limit for completing such comments. And thereafter, the professional that prepared the developed master plan or strategic plan will review the comments of the community. They may take it into consideration or not, but then the final step would be the city council that will decide about the final version of the strategic plan.
Great, thank you very much. Appreciate your input. Our last speaker on this item is Marlene Hellerman. Hi, Marlene.
Good evening, Mayor.
Welcome.
Esteemed City Council. It's a pleasure to be here tonight, and I don't get up and speak often because often what I'm going to say is said by everybody else. So we have just a few tonight, and maybe there's some other ideas and thoughts that I can bring to the table to consider. First of all, I want to thank the City Council for all the hard work you did to put our community fair together. I think it was a huge statement. I thought it was wonderful. It shows the direction and the vision that we're taking, and now this facilitates our vision even more and sets us apart as the grand city it is in comparison to the other cities in the county. So I think that's pretty terrific as a resident of our fine city. So as I was reading Manager Letourneau's letter that she sent out on the agenda, there was something that struck me, and it was that her process was going to be quantitative and qualitative. Then I went on to read some of the details of that. And like my esteemed residents over here, that stuck out to me that the process seemed to be spotty, for lack of a better word, and not as comprehensive as I would like to see it. Because this is the first time we've ever done something like this, it's extremely important that it touch every resident of the city, even if it costs a few $1,000s. Because it's the first time and we're setting precedent and we're going to be building on that and revising on it through the years, every resident can have the opportunity, or at least the city council can say, we gave you every opportunity for your input to put together the most qualitative and quantitative plan we can. So I ask that you do mail out. Do it the old-fashioned way. People do still look in their mailbox. And so many in our community, there's a wide senior population. I never go to the senior citizen center. Maybe I should, but I don't. So how many people will that really touch in our community, or will they really see it there? I'd just rather see something much more comprehensive in sending it out. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Marlene. This time we'll close public communications unless we have any further. Okay, good. Then public communications closed. Then we'll go back to the council comments. I'll start with a couple. this is something that the city's never done before. We need to do one. I made it part of my principal duty as mayor this year. Is the one thing that I wanted to accomplish was to get this out in front of the public and try to do something amazing. We are a city that has been doing very well for a very long time. We say the first master plan community in California, and I think that's true. But in any event, we were one of the first, which means that we're accustomed to planning for things. And as the city came along, we didn't need a lot of strategic planning because all the planning was being done for us because we had so much development that happened back in the 80s and 90s, and most of that was very intentional. We knew exactly where it was going, and we built the processes around in our city of having a robust city staff on the economic development and public works. We also built in the planning commission process, which is robust and has many opportunities for public input. And then we built in the city council, which has never been too shy about telling its plans for the future, and we all sort of run on things that we like to see around town, and that has been our process. But every now and then you need to be intentional. We have a population which has aged. Those of us who moved here 20, 30, 40 years ago stayed put, which means that the average age in the city has sort of slid to the right a little bit. I'm glad to be part of it still, but there we are. And so we're a little bit different than we were back then. So we have to be intentional about what comes next for our city. And that includes the infrastructure that's in the ground. It includes our utilities. It includes the type of shopping that we do and where those centers are. It includes the type of planning that we want to do and zoning around town, because we also need to spend some time dealing with our general plan here in the city. And these are all goals that we need to accomplish over time. We have opportunities that a lot of people have heard about, such as the City Center project, which is behind City Hall over here, that the county's working on. There's a lot of discussion going on about the ziggurat, the federal building property, and all of these things are capable of coming into these discussions that will be built over time, certainly through the workshops and things that we can all chime in on. And so I'm very, very happy to finally be able to be part of this, to be on the council that finally gets to start the strategic plan, because I think it's needed. It's something we can be proud of for a long time. I think that my expectations of the plan is that it won't be terribly surprising, that we have been knowing this for a long time, that there are things that we understand. And so we want public input. We want to hear from everyone that we can, and put this plan together. But the truth is that we are sort of headed in a direction which I suspect it's going to be one of those things where we're not surprised by the outcome, but what we get out of the process is the ability to know day after day that these decisions that we make on the dais fit into that strategic plan somehow. And we're not that we have been flailing, but we are certainly pointed in the right direction, decision after decision, year after year. So that's where this came out of. That's the genesis of it. I didn't ask. I probably should have asked the city manager, how many of these have you done in the past? Numbers of them?
Oh, my goodness. I'm going to take a wild guess and say 20 plus.
Okay. So,
for very, very large, thousands and thousands of people,
Yeah.
organizations, to very small, to departments of 5,
Yeah.
and everything in between. So.
And the process that you've created here, how does that fit into your sample set of 20 or so?
It's consistent. It's been, I've refined it over the years, and very consistent. And the outcomes, I've seen amazing things happen as a result of strategic planning. I've seen transformed organizations, transformed communities, transformed departments as a result of intentional planning. And then what comes after this is intentional budgeting. So everything falls, and our timing couldn't be more perfect, because this will then form very key and important information for the organization with your and the community's priorities as we head into the budget process.
And do you have any, we have our normal budget processes, which this will be your first one of. What is your timing with respect to starting the budget process for this coming fiscal year?
Actually, I've had some discussions with the finance director. We're actually going to start earlier than usual, and he and I are discussing that. But it'll be several months earlier, like starting in December.
I see.
So it is perfect timing.
Okay, good. Well, let me open up council comments. Councilman Menegar.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, I'm very pleased to hear that during the interviews of the city managers, I was very pleased to hear from you that you truly shined when it came the discussion for strategic planning. And I'm very happy that you're going to be spearheading that effort on behalf of this great, beautiful city. Having said that, I'm also very pleased that you mentioned that you've done over 20 of similar projects or assignments for other cities. More so, I'll be very much interested to make sure that the cities that you're going to be using as samples, if you will, would be socioeconomically and demographically, obviously, more compatible to our great city. Now, I totally agree with our mayor what he mentioned, that we want to know how we've been doing things in the past and where we want to be. As you know, the percentage of soft land in this city, vacant parcels, is very minimal. We are a built-out city. But as a part of the strategic plan, I want to make sure that those issues are addressed. We've seen a lot of cities in Los Angeles County. There are 88 cities in LA County, and some of the cities are compatible to our city. They happen to be mostly coastal, but with different political directions. But not talking political, I want to make sure that when you look into the future of this great city to prepare the blueprint or the roadmap, you look into what we can do with the federal building. For 10 years, I served in the planning commission of this great city, and it was a dream for me to see that as a part of the future planning of the city, we look into the potential revitalization, rejuvenation of that site. So I look at those specific projects, those specific sites to be also included under your leadership. And from a budgetary perspective, quite frankly, I don't see any issues for the city to spend some money there, because we want to build the future of this city. So far, we've done great. We were incorporated in 1989. We took the land, we took the roadway, we took the infrastructure from the County of Orange. Good or bad, we're stuck with what we have. And we have a lot of aging infrastructure, meaning that we have a lot of roadways, we have a lot of retaining walls, specifically on Crown Valley Parkway, and a bunch of other arterials in the city that they need to be revitalized, and that would be a part of the strategic plan. I'm not talking about the 5-year CIP plan that comes to us and we discuss and we ratify the budget for those. So that would be another area that I'd like to see more inputs from you based upon your expertise. And based on, I had the same comments that I heard from the two gentlemen, that's true. Even though we are a high-tech city, we are a very affluent city with a lot of educated people, but that is true. A lot of my neighbors that are retired, former CEOs of these companies, when I talk to them, they're not into the digital age. It's mostly the younger generation. So I want to make sure that when you roll out the strategic planning process, then we don't leave them, left out, because I don't see them here at the city council chamber. So definitely we want to get their inputs. The population of this city, as everybody knows, not to give a political speech, is aging. So we need to be cognizant of that fact. What else we can do? What other services we can provide? Do we need to, based upon the aging population growing, do we need to have another facility for them based on supply versus demand to do needs assessment for those areas, for those projects? Because at the end, we are going to be going through the same process. We are aging, I'm aging, so pretty shortly I'm going to be a senior citizen too.
All in favor, say aye.
So, and when you serve in the city council, you age faster. So having said that,
I'm only 28, so it's really
so having said that, I want to make sure that the way you are going to be disseminating the information to the general public, then people will get the opportunity to get it through the mail. So those forms, before you roll it out, the foundation of the planning to be basically shared with the public, so you and us can get their feedback, and then with that specific charter and mission that I presume that we are going to be approving the process, the framework, then you can, move ahead and make this great city greater.
So
Thank you
if
very
I could just share,
Please.
we're happy to do the mailing, if the council directs that, and we just need an appropriation, a vote to take the $25,000 from fund balance to do that process.
Is that your estimate on what it's going to
Yes.
cost? Have you done that in your prior 20? I'm trying to get a feel for. I mean, it sounds like a good idea. I'm not really offended by the concept. I'm just wondering what normal looks like.
Every city is unique in processes that they require. In very small organizations, that's easy. When you get into thousands and thousands of people, the decision was made not to. That doesn't mean that's right or wrong. It's whatever you feel comfortable with. So we are ready tomorrow morning to do that, and to get that out as soon as possible to meet the timeline. If that's the direction of the council, we'd be happy to do that.
Okay, great. Let me turn to my right, Councilor Raines.
So this is a long time coming. I remember us sitting at Corner Bakery having coffee and talking about this, Mayor Jennings, and I'm very excited and happy to see this on our agenda.
Great.
I really do believe that this strategic plan is something that will help us move forward in not only budgeting appropriately for our community, but providing the community with what they want. And I'm hopeful that we will find that it's a lot of what we've already been doing. But in retrospect of not having something like this is really a special night for, I think, all of us to bring it to this place. So thank you so much for bringing this to our agenda and to our city. With that being said, I did ask that question about mailing. We've had a lot of people in this chamber talking about our aging population. And I know that we have some, unfortunately, one of our colleagues isn't here tonight, but I'm sure she would agree, with 35% of our community aging and being over 65, I think it would be to benefit and worthwhile for us to invest the few dollars per household to send a mailer where we could get the information and get it out to a broader base. I'm not saying that we shouldn't use all the other technology, though, too. I think we need to do both. So with that, I think I just want to say thanks again for making sure this is on the thing.
Welcome.
And
Very glad to
I'm
have
in
you.
favor of getting the mailer out.
Thanks. Mayor Pro Tem Davies.
I want to thank you, Mayor, for really putting the effort into this, and same with our city manager. You come on city council and our city is run very well, and typically our platform is just don't screw it up because we're doing pretty good, but it really is, to maintain the quality of life we have. But we have to look forward. And I think what's great about this is it sets a foundation for future council members so that they have a focus to where they're going to be going. The mailer, absolutely. I think that's important. Everyone has to have the opportunity, and that way you can say it was there, because it's easy to get missed. So the input is very important. We're all residents here, and we want to make sure that everybody is heard from every age and, demographic, so that we're there for the young families. We're there for perhaps the students that are graduating that perhaps will be living here, as well as the seniors. It's important. This is a city that we want to keep running as well as it does, and so we have to make sure that we make adjustments when they're needed. Again, I'm excited about this. I'm grateful that we're doing something like this, and I'm excited to see actually where it's going to take us. And the fact is, it also allows us, when we do budgets, now we know we're finishing up our big CIP project with the park. This will be something now we'll start focusing on, and in the following, many years into the budget, this will be probably one of the main CIP projects, whatever we decide in here. So thank you all for that. And I would make a motion to move it, as well as adding that it would be mailed out to the addresses.
Thank you. Was there a follow comment on that?
Yeah, I just had a quick question. If we were to do the mailer, would the timeline that you presented to us still give you enough time to get it in the mail and get it back so that we weren't missing anything?
Yes, the goal will be to get it in the mail. We'll still launch tomorrow, all
Okay.
the electronic as we had planned. And the goal will be to get it in the mail by Friday. So
Okay.
it'll give still 2 weeks to turn that around. It'll include a self-addressed stamped envelope. So
Okay.
it'll allow people the easiest way to get it back to us.
Okay, then I'll second the motion.
Okay, good. Well, I was going to make the motion.
You
I was so
wanted to make the
excited to make the
motion.
motion.
I'd like to take back my motion and leave it for the mayor.
I like a nice consensus, so that's good.
I want to make
It'll
sure the
look better in the
motion-
minutes.
The motion needs to include the
Mail.
appropriation from fund balance.
It
To
will.
the
Let me-
25,000.
Let me ask a question before we vote, and I'm happy to call a vote in just a second. I'm not terribly concerned about people responding twice, but they could. We've created a scenario here. We really don't have any control mechanisms that I'm aware of on how many times people chime in on that. So assuming that we're all using our powers for good, not evil, we shouldn't have a flood of ballots coming back or whatever we're calling them, surveys coming back.
The only control we have is over electronic device.
Yeah.
So the SurveyMonkey mechanism that we're using actually controls and only allows you to do that from one device. So obviously the mailing, we don't know if somebody's,
Well, and
submitted 2 surveys, but typically in the past, in my experience, that's not.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's hard to get them to respond once, so I'm not sure that that's that I'm likely to. Was there a comment, City Attorney?
Just a question of clarification. Did Mayor Pro Tem Davies withdraw her motion so that you could?
Oh, we're
make the
getting
motion?
there. Yeah, I'm not done with Mayor Pro Tem Davies yet.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
All right.
I'm going to withdraw it so that, since this was his idea, you know what, he
This is the
deserves to be
Supreme
able to make
Court.
the motion on that, so I'll withdraw my motion.
Well, that's very kind. I will make the motion to approve City Manager item number 1 to appropriate the $25,000 for the mailing and to include a mailing as well.
And I'll second.
And there's Councilman Raines as the second. So all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Good. It passes unanimously. So thank you.
Yay.
And thank you to the speakers who came tonight as well. That concludes our discussion items for tonight. So we will move on to other business and council reports. I will start to my left with Councilman Minigar.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, I attended the Joint Finance and Investment Committees of TCA in Irvine. I also attended the big meeting of the Orange County Council of Governments Board of Directors meeting in Irvine, which was followed by SCAG's Reno public hearing meeting at the City Hall of Irvine. And I spoke on behalf of the South Orange County cities about our solid position of local control and more public inputs to be included in the whole process. So with that, I conclude my comments. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. To my left, Councilmember Raines.
Okay. So first thing I wanted to mention again is on September 14th is the Relay for Life. As a cancer survivor, I want to encourage as many of you to participate and be there and support. If you can't, make a donation. I think that is an incredible opportunity for us to come together as a community. It's going to be at the Laguna Niguel Regional Park. And then on Saturday, myself and Mayor Pro Tem Davies got to spend a day at the Orange County Fire Authority learning how the fire operations actually work. Yes, I do look fat in my uniform. We laughed. We made that joke. We're like, do we look fat? I'm like, I think we're supposed to. But those uniforms are 70 pounds once you have the thing on. And I think sometimes we don't have a real true appreciation for what our firefighters really get involved in when they're out there supporting us and making sure that we're safe and running into these buildings. We also got to get down on our knees with the fire hose blowing 150, was it 150
PSI.
gallons of water per minute coming out of the hose, and we had to hold the hose, and I mean, it was pretty amazing, and we were just in awe of all the things that that they do and they're trained for. So it was a really great opportunity for us to experience that, and they even awarded us with this really cool plaque when we were all done. So I want to say thank you to Orange County Fire Authority and for the opportunity to learn a little bit more about what they do for us in our community. We're very blessed to have them be our fire safety year. So that's it. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Davies.
I just want to piggyback on that. That was a great experience to be able to do that. You have no idea. I mean, unfortunately, I couldn't stay the whole time, but I think they have another one this weekend for electeds, and they go through where you get to get into the hot burning building and using the Jaws of Life. And what's very interesting is the Jaws of Life that they used to have just doesn't work anymore because cars are made to be better now. Basically, it's a sealed capsule when you're in there, so that just doesn't get through anymore. And so when you saw a car, they had the basically, it was just the frame, so you could see the bars and things like that, and the equipment that they need to get in there is just amazing. But yeah, holding that hose, and one thing we're very blessed is in this city is with the trucks, our stations, we have 4 men on, and not all cities do, and you can't go into a building alone. So a lot of times if there's a fire and you have certain cities that only have 3, they have to wait for the next station to come in before they can actually go into a burning building. So in our city, we have that so they can immediately get in. So that's something that we're very grateful and something we put into the budget for that. So that was, it was really a wonderful experience. I also want to know that the mayor and myself, we're working with the school district. Right now, you've probably been hearing a lot about the dangers of vaping. I mean, it's everywhere right now, especially with our middle school and our high school teens. So we're going to be putting on a workshop at Laguna Niguel Elementary on October 22nd at 5:30. We're going to be having a sergeant speaking as well as information, because the vaping is just, I mean, they've already said that right now they think they might have the first death because of vaping. And these kids think it's cool. If you go online, it's basically saying, you know, good vibes vaping. And they have clothes now so that you can actually put the vape in here and then you can smoke through the drawstrings. And they're doing that in school, they're doing it in the bathroom, but the causes and effects are horrible. And we knew this when e-cigarettes came out 5 years ago. We knew something like this would come. So I'm glad that we're putting another educational class on, working with the school district, and we'll have the flyers out, and the school works with us, so they send them all to the parents. But if you're interested in it, keep an eye out. We'll have that on our website as well. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Marpa Tim. A couple of things I wanted to let, I think the council knows, but we had our second meeting, the Orange County Housing Finance Trust, this past Friday. That is the organization designed to fund permanent supportive housing for homeless individuals in Orange County. You may recall there was a a piece of legislation passed last year that allowed for the creation of this. Orange County immediately did that. That happened. Our formation meeting was in June. Our second meeting was yesterday or Friday. I was pleased to be elected as the chair of that, so I'll definitely have Laguna Niguel's hands in the operation of what's coming, and we are certainly on the forefront of all of that. I'm pleased to report that not only do we have you have to follow me on the words for a second, the Orange County Housing Finance Trust, but there's also another entity called the Orange County Housing Trust, which has principally been led by the Orange County Business Council, that is doing sort of exactly the same thing, but primarily using private sector dollars. And we've already had the first of what I'm hoping is many meetings with them about how this can benefit everyone. We're looking at this as a zero-sum game and working together to ensure that those dollars are implemented in the best possible way. So this is a huge win for Orange County. It's the right thing to do, and we are aggressively and actively trying to help. I also, as a member of your city council, sit on the Orange County Vector Control Board. You may have seen posts, and I would just like to reemphasize again that we are seeing an extraordinarily sharp increase in the instances of West Nile virus in Orange County. Thankfully for those of us in South County, especially Laguna Niguel, we have not, and I emphasize not, found any positive tests of birds or rodents or anything related to West Nile in Laguna Niguel. But in the North County cities, which are unfortunately plagued by this year over year, in the last 2 weeks, I keep getting notices that they're finding more and more and more samples of this. West Nile is an extraordinarily debilitating illness. You can get it from a single mosquito bite. You go out, you walk your dog, you come back and you can like, geez, I've got this scratch or an itch on my ankle or something. That's all it takes. And it's debilitating and catastrophic if you happen to catch it. It's also very preventable. So if you happen to be walking out on a trail, just grab something that's got DEET in it and put it on. Doesn't take you but a second. You might be putting on sunscreen, and if you put this next to your sunscreen, you might remember to do that. And you could be saving yourself not only your life, but also years and years of debilitating illness trying to recover from that. And we are working very hard in Orange County, setting really a national example about addressing this early. So one of the reasons that we've not had it year to date as bad as we have in years past is because of those efforts at the vector control. So I want to give them some props. But if you would, please remember that. I think everybody had a blast at the carnival. We've talked about that. It seemed like there were a lot of smiles going around about that event. And there's more coming. I don't want to preview it too much, but I want to let you know that we are already in discussions about the year-end party which will be the actual celebration party, which we'd love to have all of our friends from Laguna Niguel there to celebrate that. And we'll do that in style, just don't know what style that is yet. So we're in the planning phase. We still have shell shock from the carnival, I think, a little bit. So once we shake that off a little bit, we'll get back in the fold. But want to put that in your mind. It's probably going to be, the tentative schedule is right before Thanksgiving, so in the week probably before that. So if you think about that, you might want to set aside the time in your mind. So with that, I think that's all I have, and I'll go around the room and start with Chief McDaniel.
Thank you, Mayor. As many know, one of our motor deputies was struck in a traffic collision last Wednesday. I am glad to say what started out as a very scary situation, he has gone home with, for all intents and purposes, very minor injuries. So yes, thank you. But I bring it up only because the outpouring from the community was fantastic, from you folks, city manager as well, and the community over social media and various other ways that they've expressed their concern for him and appreciation that he went home when he did. I know Brian, it meant a ton to him to hear from you folks. It meant a ton to hear from the community. One of the schools has sent him cards. Actually, several schools have sent him cards and posters for his hospital room when he was in there. And really, just the outpouring was fantastic. So I just want to thank you folks. We love our relationship with this city, and in those moments like that, it really shows. So just want to say appreciate it. Thank you.
Great. You are our city, so good job. City Attorney, yes.
I have no report this evening. Thank you.
That's good when it's from the City Attorney. Finance Director.
Nothing tonight, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
That's good. That means it's all in hand. Community Development Director Orduña.
Nothing this evening. Thank you.
Wow. Deputy City Manager Bell.
Nothing tonight, thanks.
Wow. Home run. City Clerk Gomez.
Nothing for me, Mayor.
And here's the one that messes that up. So,
Thank you, Mayor.
Director Giglio, good to see you.
Good to see you, too.
And it's not messing it up. It's adding to the value.
Thank you. This Friday, September 6th, is the first of 2 Friday Fall Flicks. The Little Mermaid will be showing from 7 to 9 at Crown Valley Park on the lower soccer field, and it's free to attend. Also, just a reminder that the road inside Crown Valley Park is closed for construction through the second week of October. The YMCA and Laguna Niguel Aquatic Center will remain open, but we advise everyone to check schedules prior to coming in because they could change last minute. And we're also providing some golf cart transportation, and we've added some additional lighting on the trails for our walk-in users. So
Great.
We appreciate everyone's patience and cooperation during this time. Thank you.
That's easy. And I went did a drive-by on the building the other day, and it is truly looking fantastic. It's so fun and to see it coming to form, and it's just great. So thank you very much, and can't wait to see you guys in it. Director Scott.
Nothing tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Oh, well done. Thank you. And City Manager Latorno.
No report tonight.
Wow, that's good. Well, thank you very much. I want to say thank you, everyone. It's been one of those monumental meetings, although short. It meant a lot, and I think we stuck our city on a very, very positive path tonight. So thank you for the speakers, and thank you to everyone. So we are adjourned at 7:49.